North Carolina is a place of beauty, history, and quiet charm. But when night falls, another side of the state wakes up. Hidden behind old iron gates and tangled trees are graveyards that hold more than silent stones. They hold whispers, shadows, and spirits that never learned how to rest. These are not peaceful resting places. These are places where the dead do not sleep. Some visitors speak of cold hands touching their shoulders when no one is there. Others hear footsteps on the gravel paths that stop the moment they turn around. Some see pale figures drifting through the fog, moving from grave to grave, as if searching for something they lost long ago. Many who enter these cemeteries at night swear they never come out the same. Every graveyard on this list has a story. Some are filled with tragic legends. Some are marked by unsolved mysteries. Some are home to spirits that are angry, lonely, or simply unwilling to leave the world behind. These haunted burial grounds have frightened ghost hunters, terrified locals, and driven many visitors away long before midnight. Tonight, we are walking into the darkest corners of North Carolina. The air will grow colder, the shadows will stretch longer, and the spirits will grow restless as we speak their names. These are the most haunted graveyards in the state, the places where the veil is thin, the energy is heavy, and the dead are said to wander freely. If you dare to continue, take a deep breath, hold your courage close, and do not look behind you. The journey is about to begin. Haunted Graveyard Number 1. Old Salem Cemetery, Winston-Salem. Old Salem Cemetery sits behind a quiet row of ancient trees, its iron gate leaning slightly forward as if it has spent centuries listening to the whispers drifting through the night air. The moment you step beyond that gate, you feel something colder than wind brush across your skin. It is not the weather. It is not imagination. It is the presence of a place that has watched the living come and go for generations. A place that remembers everything. A place that refuses to rest. Old Salem Cemetery is one of the oldest burial grounds in North Carolina, and every inch of it carries the weight of untold stories, unspoken grief, and restless spirits that still walk between the narrow paths of weathered stone. The cemetery was built by early Moravian settlers, people who believed deeply in community and who buried their dead side by side in simple graves. The stones are flat, uniform, and low to the ground, but they are not silent. Visitors say that the deeper you walk into the cemetery, the heavier the air becomes. The sound of traffic fades. The world beyond the gate disappears. There is only the crunch of gravel under your shoes, the slow rustle of branches overhead, and the soft feeling that someone is matching your footsteps right behind you, even though no one is there. Some people say the spirits here are peaceful. Others say that peace depends entirely on what you bring with you. Old Salem Cemetery has a way of reading you and responding to the fear you try to hide. Many of the ghosts said to wander the graves belong to children who died long before their time. Walkers report hearing tiny footsteps running behind them, or the faint sound of a child laughing very softly, as if from a faraway corner of the cemetery where shadows gather in clusters. Others have seen a small girl, dressed in a white gown, standing beside one of the older stones. She does not move. She does not blink. When visitors try to approach her, she fades slowly into the mist. The strangest part is that some people swear she looks completely solid one moment and transparent the next. No one knows who she is. No one knows why she still lingers. But everyone agrees that she is one of the reasons the cemetery feels alive long after sundown. Another well-known presence in Old Salem Cemetery is that of a tall man dressed in dark clothing who walks the grounds at night. He appears without sound and disappears without warning. Witnesses always describe him the same way. His posture is stiff, his face is somber, his hands are clasped behind his back. He looks like a guard who has been watching the cemetery for more years than any living person. Some people believe he is the spirit of an old pastor who refused to abandon his congregation, not even after death. Others think he is a protector of the cemetery who warns away anyone who does not respect the dead. Those who have encountered him often say they felt a deep weight in their chest, a feeling that made them stop walking and listen. They could not understand the message, but they sensed it clearly. Leave now. There is also the story of the woman in the green shawl. She is said to wander only on foggy mornings or cold nights. Her figure drifts between the graves as if searching for something she lost long ago. Some claim she speaks, though no one has ever understood her words. Others say she simply weeps. What makes her different from the other ghosts is the overwhelming sadness that fills the air when she appears. People feel it before they see her, a sudden heaviness, a chill that spreads across the shoulders, a pressure around the eyes. Her sorrow is so strong that visitors sometimes cry without knowing why. When she finally becomes visible, she moves with slow steps, her shawl fluttering as though touched by hands that belong to another world. Then she vanishes, leaving behind a silence that feels almost sacred. Of all the haunting experiences in Old Salem Cemetery, the most disturbing reports come from those who visit after dark. Some describe seeing pale faces peeking from behind the tombstones. Others have captured strange shapes in photographs, glowing figures, or drifting orbs that seem to pulse with faint light. The most terrifying stories come from those who walked the cemetery alone and felt something tug on their sleeve, or touch their hair, or brush their hand with a coldness sharper than ice. One visitor claimed that as she turned to leave, she felt a small hand slip into hers. She froze. The pressure was gentle, but unmistakable. When she looked down, no one was there. When she looked back at the graves, she saw a shadowy figure standing near the edge of the path. It watched her quietly before dissolving into the night. Another story tells of a local historian who spent a night in the cemetery to gather material for research. He came prepared with a flashlight and a notebook. He expected silence. Instead, he heard the sound of soft singing coming from the far end of the graveyard. At first, he thought it must be someone outside the grounds, but as the singing grew louder, he realized it was coming from within the cemetery. The voice was gentle at first, like a lullaby, but it soon shifted into a mournful tune that made the hairs on his arms rise. When he tried to follow the sound, it moved away from him. When he stopped walking, it stopped too. He left before sunrise and never returned. Perhaps the most unsettling part of Old Salem Cemetery is how it affects people long after they leave. Visitors often report vivid dreams the following night. Dreams of walking through endless rows of graves. Dreams of seeing faces they do not recognize, but feel strangely connected to. Dreams of standing at the cemetery gate while something calls their name from the darkness behind them. Some say the dreams are harmless. Others say the dreams feel too real, too heavy, too close. Old Salem Cemetery is not a place of violence. It is not a place of rage. It is a place of memory, a place where the boundary between the living and the dead feels thin enough to touch. A place where footsteps echo even when you stand perfectly still. A place where the silence is never quite silent. It invites you in gently, but sends you away with a story you will never forget. And if you walk there at night, you may find yourself glancing over your shoulder, wondering if the children are still playing behind you, if the tall man is watching from a distance, if the woman in the green shawl is drifting through the fog searching for something she lost centuries ago. Old Salem Cemetery is beautiful. Old Salem Cemetery is peaceful. Old Salem Cemetery is alive in ways that no cemetery should ever be. If you visit, remember this: walk softly, speak gently, and when the air grows colder and the shadows shift, know that you are not alone. Number 2. Cedar Grove Cemetery, New Bern. Cedar Grove Cemetery in New Bern is one of the oldest burial grounds in North Carolina, and it carries an atmosphere that settles into your bones the moment you step through its gates. The cemetery began in the early 1800s, and time has never truly left it. The grounds are lined with ancient oaks, their branches bending low as if shielding the stories buried beneath them. Every path feels like a reminder that the past is not silent, only waiting. One of the most mysterious features in Cedar Grove Cemetery is the Weeping Arch. From far away, it looks like an ordinary stone archway. When you walk closer, the air changes. The stone appears darker. The temperature drops slightly. Locals believe the arch cries. Water drips from it on certain days, even when there is no rain. Some say the arch weeps for the souls buried during New Bern's devastating yellow fever epidemic. Others believe the arch reacts to the living, especially those who carry heavy burdens. Visitors have often said that the dripping begins only when they walk beneath it, as if the stone understands something they do not. Generations have told stories about strange things happening around the Weeping Arch. Some people avoid walking under it entirely. A few visitors said they felt an unseen hand brush against them. One woman described hearing faint breathing behind her, even though she was alone. A teenager once claimed he heard someone whisper his name in a voice that did not belong to anyone he knew. Families in New Bern warn their children never to run around the arch at dusk, because dusk is the time when the cemetery wakes up. The history of Cedar Grove. Cemetery itself is filled with sorrow. New Bern suffered a terrible yellow fever outbreak in the 1800s, and bodies were buried quickly to stop the spread of the disease. Many graves are unmarked, their stories lost to time. People believe those unmarked souls are restless because they were laid to rest without proper rituals. Some visitors have felt overwhelming sadness when walking through certain parts of the cemetery, as if someone was begging to be remembered. There are also countless reports of shadow figures. Some appear near the oldest headstones, others linger near the mausoleums. A night security guard once said he saw a tall figure standing between two oaks. When he shined his flashlight on it, the figure did not move. When he took a step closer, it vanished completely. Another visitor said she captured a photo of a gravestone and later noticed a faint silhouette of a woman beside it. The woman appeared to be wearing clothing from centuries ago. Cedar Grove Cemetery is peaceful during the day, but at night it becomes a place of whispers. Those who have visited after sunset describe the wind sounding like voices, the trees shifting even when there is no breeze, and footsteps approaching from behind, only for nobody to be there. Some say the cemetery is not haunted in a frightening way, but in a sorrowful one. Spirits here are not trying to scare, they are trying to be noticed. People who visit Cedar Grove often leave with a strange feeling. Some feel heavy, some feel watched, some feel oddly calm, as if the cemetery accepted their presence. The atmosphere is not just eerie, it is emotional. You feel the history pressing in around you, reminding you that every stone marks a life that mattered. Cedar Grove Cemetery remains one of North Carolina's most mysterious and unforgettable graveyards. Its beauty is undeniable, its silence feels alive, and its stories continue to echo through every corner of New Bern. Number 3. Riverside Cemetery, Asheville. Riverside Cemetery in Asheville is one of the oldest and most unsettling burial grounds in North Carolina. It was established in the late 1800s, and it holds more than 13,000 graves. The moment you step inside, the atmosphere changes. The air feels heavier, the silence feels deeper, and the narrow, winding paths seem to pull you further in, as if the cemetery itself wants you to explore its secrets. The trees rise high above the tombstones, their branches bending in strange shapes that block the sunlight in certain corners, leaving patches of the cemetery in permanent shadow. Even people who visit during the day say that Riverside feels like a place where the past is not resting, it is watching. Many of the people buried here lived through some of the most violent and heartbreaking moments in North Carolina history. Soldiers from the Civil War, families who survived sickness and hardship, children whose graves are marked only by small stones that have been worn smooth by time. Visitors say that the mix of beauty and sorrow leaves an energy behind, an energy that does not fade even after decades. Some describe an invisible presence walking with them, while others say they feel as if someone is quietly standing just out of sight. One of the most famous graves in Riverside Cemetery belongs to the writer Thomas Wolfe. His novels captured the spirit of early Asheville, and for many of his fans, visiting his grave feels like stepping into a piece of literature. But several people believe that his spirit never fully left the place. Visitors have reported hearing the soft scratch of a pen across paper near his family plot. The sound usually appears during late afternoons when the cemetery is quiet. A woman once said she heard light footsteps circling her while she stood reading the inscription on the stone. She thought someone else was there, but when she turned, she saw no one. She left quickly without looking back. Another author buried in Riverside is O. Henry. People claim that the area around his grave carries a strange energy. Some say they have heard faint laughter, the kind that sounds like it is carried by the wind. Others say they have seen a shadow move between the trees near his tombstone, even when no one else is around. A man who visited the cemetery early one morning said he felt a hand brush against his shoulder, but when he turned, he found himself completely alone. The Confederate section of the cemetery is another place where strange events are commonly reported. Rows of old weathered stones stand together, and the ground feels cold even in the summer. People have described sudden chills that rise from the soil, moments of breathlessness, and the distant sound of boots marching across gravel. A group of friends exploring the cemetery at sunset said they heard low voices whispering near them. They assumed another group was nearby, but when they walked toward the sound, it moved farther away until it disappeared completely. Riverside Cemetery is also known for its mysterious lights. These are not street lights or reflections. They float, they shift, they glow. A couple walking the grounds at dusk talked about seeing a blue light drift between the graves. They thought it was a trick of their eyes until it stopped directly in front of a headstone, hovered for a few seconds, and faded into the darkness. Another person said she saw a white orb rise from the ground like smoke. It stretched upward and vanished before she could take a picture. Some people believe these lights are spirits trying to manifest. Others think they are something else entirely. Whatever they are, they always appear near the oldest areas of the cemetery, especially where the graves have sunk into the earth. One of the scariest stories from Riverside Cemetery comes from a groundskeeper. He said that late one evening, while closing the gates, he noticed someone standing near a large monument. The figure looked like a woman wearing long, dark clothing. He called out to ask if she needed help, but the figure did not move. When he walked toward her, she began to fade, slowly, as if dissolving into the night air. He searched the entire cemetery, but he found no footprints, no signs of anyone being there, and no explanation for what he saw. Another disturbing story involves a child spirit. Several people have reported hearing a young voice calling for help. The voice seems to move, drifting from one part of the cemetery to another. A man who lives nearby said he often hears the faint sound of a child crying late at night. He once went to check the area with a flashlight, but each time he followed the sound, it moved farther away until it faded completely. The next day, he refused to walk near the cemetery again. Riverside Cemetery has a powerful effect on people. Some feel sadness, some feel fear, some feel the strange pull of the past, brushing against the present. It is a place where memories cling to the air like fog, and where every stone, every shadow, and every sudden chill seems to hold a story. The beauty of the cemetery makes the haunting even stronger, because the calm hides something deeper, something restless, something that does not want to be forgotten. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, Riverside Cemetery leaves a mark on anyone who walks through it. The quiet paths, the old graves, the strange sounds, the cold air that rises without warning. Everything comes together to create a feeling that stays with you long after you leave. It is a haunting that does not depend on what you see, but on what you feel. And in Riverside Cemetery, people feel plenty. If you ever visit Asheville, you will find that Riverside Cemetery is one of the most beautiful places in the city. But beauty can be deceiving. And when the sun begins to set behind the trees, the cemetery transforms into something else entirely. A place where the past wakes up, a place where silence speaks, a place where the living and the dead seem to walk the same path for just a moment you will never forget. Number 4. Oakwood Cemetery, Raleigh. Oakwood Cemetery in Raleigh is one of the most historically significant and haunting burial grounds in North Carolina. Established in the mid-1800s, it is the final resting place for many of Raleigh's earliest citizens, including soldiers, politicians, and influential families who shaped the city's history. Walking through Oakwood Cemetery, visitors immediately feel a sense of weight in the air, a mix of reverence and unease. The rows of moss-covered headstones and ornate monuments rise from the earth like frozen whispers of the past, each one holding untold stories of lives lived long ago. The paths wind through the cemetery in ways that seem to invite exploration, yet every turn carries the suggestion that you are not truly alone. Many visitors and locals claim that Oakwood Cemetery is haunted. Reports include sudden cold drafts on warm days, unexplained footsteps echoing across the gravel, and the sensation of being watched by unseen eyes. Some believe that the energy in the cemetery is tied to its history. Soldiers from the Civil War are buried in a designated section, and people frequently report hearing distant phantom marches or the muffled sounds of commands being shouted. Others speak of seeing fleeting shadows among the tombstones, vanishing as soon as they try to focus on them. One of the most commonly reported phenomena in Oakwood Cemetery involves ghostly apparitions. Several visitors have described seeing figures dressed in old-fashioned clothing wandering between graves. A man once recounted that he saw a woman in a long dark dress standing beside a large family monument. She appeared to be weeping, yet when he approached, she disappeared without a trace. Another visitor mentioned seeing the outline of a soldier standing silently near the Confederate section, looking toward the horizon, unmoving, yet unmistakably present. The cemetery also carries stories of mysterious sounds. At night, people have heard voices that seem to float through the air. Some describe soft crying, while others report low murmurs that sound like conversations just beyond understanding. A group of teenagers exploring Oakwood one evening claimed to hear a chain dragging across the ground behind them. When they turned, the pathway was empty. The sounds often occur near the oldest graves, particularly in areas where the stones have begun to tilt and decay, as if time itself amplifies the energy lingering there. Several accounts mention unexplained lights. Small orbs and flashes of white light are reported hovering above the ground, moving between gravestones. Witnesses say the lights sometimes follow them along the pathways and vanish abruptly. While some believe these manifestations are spirits trying to communicate, others argue they may be residual energy from events long past. One woman visiting at dusk described seeing a soft glowing orb drift slowly toward her, pause near a tall obelisk, and then dissolve into the air. She left immediately, shaken by the experience. In addition to apparitions, sounds, and lights, Oakwood Cemetery has been the site of strange physical sensations. People walking alone report sudden chills that run from head to toe, hair standing on end, and the feeling of a presence close enough to touch yet unseen. One local historian shared a story of a visitor who felt a light tap on the shoulder while walking near the older section of the cemetery. When the person turned, there was no one behind them, yet the sensation of contact lingered. Experiences like these have led many to believe that Oakwood Cemetery is a place where the living and the dead intersect in ways that cannot be explained by logic alone. The architecture and layout of Oakwood Cemetery enhance its eerie atmosphere. Gothic-style mausoleums, towering monuments, and intricately carved stones create shadows that shift with the light, giving the impression of movement even when the grounds are empty. At night, the cemetery transforms, and what feels solemn during the day becomes unsettling after sunset. Visitors have reported hearing doors opening and closing within mausoleums where no one is inside, and some claim to have felt unseen, hands brush against their arms as they pass certain graves. Oakwood Cemetery is also known for its connection to local legends. Stories passed down through generations speak of spirits who linger because of unresolved matters in life or violent deaths. Families who have visited the cemetery for decades insist that some graves have a stronger presence than others, and certain tombs are said to be cursed or protected by spirits that will not allow disrespectful behavior. These stories have only fueled the fascination and fear surrounding Oakwood Cemetery, making it a destination for both history enthusiasts and paranormal investigators. Visitors should exercise caution when exploring Oakwood Cemetery. Despite its beauty and historical significance, many have experienced a sense of unease that cannot be ignored. Those who go alone report stronger sensations of being followed or watched, and some leave feeling a lingering chill even after exiting the cemetery gates. Locals advise visiting during daylight hours if you wish to fully appreciate the historical and architectural features without the heightened tension that night brings. Whether you are drawn by history, genealogy, or paranormal curiosity, Oakwood Cemetery leaves a lasting impression. It is a place where the stories of the past feel alive, where shadows hint at lives once lived, and where the boundary between the living and the dead is thin. Every headstone, every monument, every pathway contributes to a sense that the cemetery is not just a resting place, but a witness to centuries of human experience, both joyful and tragic. The combination of historical significance and unexplained phenomena makes Oakwood Cemetery one of the most intriguing haunted locations in North Carolina. Many who visit find themselves contemplating the lives of those buried here, imagining the events that brought them to this place, and sensing the echoes of their presence. For those willing to explore its grounds, Oakwood Cemetery offers a glimpse into a world where history and the supernatural collide, leaving memories that are as haunting as they are unforgettable. No matter how often you visit, Oakwood Cemetery has a way of revealing something new. A whisper on the wind, a light in the distance, a shadow that seems too deliberate to ignore. For anyone seeking the eerie and the mysterious, it is a location that will challenge your understanding of the living and the dead, and it will remain in your mind long after you leave its gates. Number 5. Elmwood Cemetery, Charlotte. Elmwood Cemetery in Charlotte is one of the oldest and most storied cemeteries in the city, established in the mid-1800s. The cemetery spans a large area filled with rows upon rows of gravestones, monuments, and family mausoleums that evoke both awe and unease. As you walk along the winding pathways, the sheer number of burials and the weight of history are palpable, creating an atmosphere that feels alive with memories of the past. Elmwood Cemetery is not just a burial ground, but a repository of Charlotte's history, holding the stories of prominent families, local leaders, veterans, and ordinary citizens whose lives shaped the city. Yet amid its historic significance, there are countless accounts of paranormal activity that make Elmwood a place where curiosity and fear intertwine. Many visitors and paranormal enthusiasts have reported unusual occurrences that defy logical explanation. One of the most common experiences involves sudden drops in temperature. Even on the hottest summer days, individuals report feeling an icy chill that surrounds them, seemingly emanating from no specific source. People often describe walking along certain paths or standing near older graves when the air becomes frigid, and they experience goosebumps as if an unseen presence is nearby. Such cold spots are often associated with spirits lingering in the cemetery, unable or unwilling to move on. Ghostly apparitions are another frequent phenomenon at Elmwood Cemetery. Witnesses have described seeing figures dressed in old-fashioned clothing, wandering silently between the gravestones. One man recounted that while visiting the cemetery in the late evening, he saw a woman in a long dress standing beside a monument as if she were mourning. When he approached, she vanished without a trace, leaving only an eerie feeling of being watched. Others have reported seeing shadowy figures gliding across the pathways or standing in the distance, disappearing when approached. The apparitions are often fleeting, yet their presence is undeniable to those who experience them. In addition to visual phenomena, Elmwood Cemetery is known for strange and unexplained sounds. Visitors frequently report hearing footsteps echoing on gravel paths where no one else is present. Some have heard faint whispers that seem to come from the gravestones themselves, carrying messages that cannot be understood. On several occasions, people have described hearing a soft crying or distant laughter drifting across the cemetery. In the Confederate section, some claim to hear the muffled sounds of marching soldiers or commands being shouted, as if the spirits of those who fought long ago are reliving moments from their past. Elmwood Cemetery is also associated with unusual lights. Many visitors have seen small glowing orbs moving slowly through the cemetery at night, hovering near monuments and graves. These lights are often described as translucent and ethereal, drifting along pathways and disappearing abruptly. Some people interpret these orbs as manifestations of spirits attempting to communicate, while others believe they are residual energy from tragic or significant events that occurred on the grounds. One witness reported a glowing orb that followed them along a main pathway before vanishing near an old oak tree, leaving an intense feeling of being observed. Physical sensations are commonly reported in Elmwood Cemetery. Visitors often feel sudden touches on their shoulders or arms, hair standing on end, or a tingling sensation that runs through their body without explanation. Some have described feeling an invisible force guiding them away from certain graves or urging them toward others. One local historian recounted the story of a man who was exploring the cemetery alone and felt a firm tap on his back, yet no one was behind him. Moments like these create an eerie tension that is difficult to shake, contributing to Elmwood's reputation as a haunted site. The cemetery's architecture and layout enhance its haunting atmosphere. Gothic-style mausoleums, carved stone monuments, and elaborate sculptures cast long shadows that shift with the sunlight and moonlight, creating illusions of movement. Many of the older sections of Elmwood Cemetery are overgrown, with vines climbing the stones and trees casting dark silhouettes over the pathways. At night, the cemetery becomes a place where the familiar turns sinister, and every rustling leaf or distant sound can trigger the imagination to see or hear the supernatural. Visitors often report feeling watched as they move through these areas, with the sensation that unseen eyes are following their every step. Local legends and stories add to the chilling reputation of Elmwood Cemetery. Tales of restless spirits who linger due to unresolved matters or untimely deaths abound. Families who have lived in Charlotte for generations often share stories of relatives experiencing paranormal encounters here. Some graves are said to carry stronger presences than others, attracting multiple reports of sightings, voices, or inexplicable phenomena. Certain mausoleums are believed to be protected by spirits that will not allow disrespectful behavior, while others are associated with restless entities that seem to react to intruders or visitors wandering too close. The Confederate section of Elmwood Cemetery is particularly noted for paranormal activity. Many believe that the spirits of soldiers who died in the Civil War remain restless. Witnesses report hearing marching footsteps, low murmurs of commands, and even the sounds of horse hooves. Some claim to see ghostly figures in uniform standing solemnly at attention, vanishing when approached. These accounts have been corroborated by multiple visitors over the years, reinforcing the cemetery's reputation as a site where history and the supernatural intersect in unsettling ways. Visitors exploring Elmwood Cemetery are advised to exercise caution, particularly after dark. The combination of visual apparitions, unexplained sounds, and physical sensations creates an intense environment for anyone unprepared for the eerie energy. Locals often recommend visiting during the daytime to appreciate the cemetery's historical and architectural beauty without the heightened tension that comes at night. However, for those drawn to the paranormal, Elmwood provides a chilling experience that is difficult to forget. Elmwood Cemetery is a place where the past feels alive. The stories of those buried there resonate through the air, and the manifestations of spirits leave an impression on all who visit. From mysterious lights to ghostly figures and chilling cold spots, Elmwood offers an immersive encounter with the unknown. It is not simply a place to view history, but a location where visitors can feel the lingering presence of lives once lived and the echoes of events long past. For anyone seeking to experience a haunted location in North Carolina, Elmwood Cemetery is a must-visit. It is a place that challenges your understanding of the living and the dead, where every headstone and pathway carries a story. Whether you are there to explore history, genealogy, or paranormal phenomena, Elmwood Cemetery promises a haunting experience that will linger in your mind long after you leave its grounds. Number 6. Cross Creek Cemetery, Fayetteville. Cross Creek Cemetery in Fayetteville is one of North Carolina's most chilling and historically rich burial grounds. Established in the 1800s, it is a place where generations of families have laid their loved ones to rest, and the weight of history is palpable the moment you enter its wrought iron gates. The cemetery sprawls across rolling hills, dotted with weathered headstones, ornate monuments, and small family plots. Many of the gravestones are carved with intricate details, but the erosion of time and the elements gives the cemetery a haunting and melancholic aura. Shadows from the surrounding trees stretch across the graves, creating shapes and illusions that seem to move with the wind, adding to the feeling that you are not alone in this solemn place. Cross Creek Cemetery has long been associated with paranormal activity, drawing both history enthusiasts and ghost hunters to its grounds. Numerous visitors have reported experiencing sudden drops in temperature even on warm days. People walking along the gravel paths have felt icy drafts that seem to emanate from nowhere, causing goosebumps and an immediate sense of being observed. These cold spots are often linked to lingering spirits or residual energy from past events, and they are especially prominent near older graves and family plots dating back over a century. Many witnesses have described seeing shadowy figures wandering among the gravestones. Some appear fleeting and indistinct, vanishing when approached, while others are more defined, resembling men and women dressed in old-fashioned attire. One visitor recounted standing near a cluster of Civil War-era graves when they saw a soldier in uniform pacing the pathway before disappearing behind a monument. Others have seen women in long dresses or children playing silently among the graves, only to vanish when someone gets too close. The apparitions are often accompanied by a feeling of heaviness in the air, or an overwhelming sense of sorrow and loss. Strange sounds are another hallmark of Cross Creek Cemetery. Many visitors report hearing footsteps on gravel where no one else is present. Some have heard whispers or murmurs coming from old mausoleums or the shadows of large trees, and others have been startled by unexplained banging or the sound of voices carrying across the cemetery. These audio phenomena contribute to the cemetery's reputation as a haunted location, reinforcing the sense that the spirits of the past are still very much present. Cross Creek Cemetery is also known for mysterious lights. Visitors often report seeing glowing orbs drifting slowly between the gravestones, hovering near mausoleums, and disappearing suddenly into thin air. These lights are described as ethereal and sometimes colorful, moving in ways that defy explanation. Locals and paranormal enthusiasts believe these orbs are manifestations of spirits trying to communicate or lingering energy from dramatic events that occurred long ago. One particularly memorable story involves a family visiting at dusk who saw a small glowing orb float along a path and disappear near an ancient oak tree, leaving them with an undeniable feeling of being watched. Physical sensations are commonly reported throughout the cemetery. Visitors frequently feel sudden touches on their shoulders or arms, a tingling sensation running down their spine, or a sense of being pushed gently away from certain graves. One account tells of a man who felt a firm tap on his shoulder while standing alone near a particularly old mausoleum. When he turned around, there was no one behind him, but he described the experience as terrifying and unforgettable. These sensations, combined with the visual and auditory phenomena, create an environment that is both captivating and unsettling for those exploring the cemetery. The architecture and layout of Cross Creek Cemetery also contribute to its eerie atmosphere. The cemetery features tall, weathered stone monuments, small family mausoleums, and elaborate carvings that cast shadows as the sun moves across the sky. Large trees with gnarled branches line the pathways, their limbs swaying in the wind and creating shapes that seem almost human. At night, the cemetery transforms completely. The moonlight illuminates gravestones and tombs in a way that can appear to animate them, and the quiet is broken only by the rustling of leaves or the occasional distant sound that cannot be explained. It is in this nocturnal setting that the cemetery's haunted reputation is most palpable, and many who visit at night leave with stories of unease and encounters with the supernatural. Local legends surrounding Cross Creek Cemetery add to its mystique. Tales of restless spirits, tragic deaths, and lingering sorrow have circulated for generations. Some graves are believed to be home to particularly active spirits that respond to the presence of visitors, while others are said to remain undisturbed unless someone approaches with disrespectful intentions. Stories include sightings of figures who appear and vanish at the edge of your vision, whispers of names being called, and even shadowy figures watching from the trees. Each tale reinforces the idea that Cross Creek Cemetery is a place where the veil between the living and the dead is thin, and where history and the supernatural intertwine. Many of the ghostly encounters are linked to the cemetery's most historic sections. Graves of Civil War soldiers, early settlers, and notable local figures seem to be hotspots for paranormal activity. Visitors have reported seeing soldiers marching silently along the paths, hearing the clinking of armor or the distant sounds of battle, and witnessing ghostly lights that follow the contours of the cemetery's older areas. Others have experienced sudden feelings of overwhelming sadness or despair when standing near certain graves, as if the emotions of the departed have been imprinted on the grounds. For those who are brave enough to explore Cross Creek Cemetery, it is advised to do so with caution. The combination of visual apparitions, unexplained sounds, and physical sensations can be intense and frightening. While the cemetery is a place of historical importance, it is also an environment charged with lingering energy and the presence of spirits. Visiting during the daytime allows for appreciation of its historical monuments and serene beauty. But for those seeking a true paranormal experience, nighttime visits are often considered more intense and memorable. Cross Creek Cemetery is a powerful reminder that history is never truly gone, and the past can leave a lasting impression on the present. From cold spots and ghostly figures to mysterious lights and unexplained sounds, the cemetery is an immersive experience for anyone interested in the supernatural. Every grave, monument, and pathway holds a story, and for those attuned to the paranormal, these stories are very much alive. It is a place where curiosity meets fear, and every visit can leave a lasting impression on your mind and soul. For anyone exploring North Carolina's haunted sites, Cross Creek Cemetery is an essential location. It is a place where history, legend, and the supernatural converge, offering experiences that are chilling, unforgettable, and sometimes terrifying. From the first step inside the gates, Visitors can feel the presence of those who have gone before, making it one of the state's most haunted and captivating cemeteries. Number 7. Old Settlers Cemetery, Charlotte. Old Settlers Cemetery in Charlotte is one of the oldest and most haunted burial grounds in North Carolina, steeped in centuries of history, sorrow, and paranormal activity. Established in the early 1800s, it is the final resting place for Charlotte's first settlers, Revolutionary War veterans, and early community figures, making it a site filled with historical significance and lingering energy. The cemetery's layout consists of aged headstones, crumbling monuments, and unmarked graves that pepper the grounds, with many of the stones tilted or partially sunken into the earth due to the passage of time. Moss and ivy creep along weathered surfaces, giving the cemetery an otherworldly and almost timeless atmosphere. Walking through its grounds, it is impossible not to feel a connection to the past, as though the stories and spirits of those interred are still present. Visitors to Old Settlers Cemetery often report strange and chilling phenomena. Cold spots are frequently encountered, where sudden drops in temperature are felt for no apparent reason, leaving those present with goosebumps and an uneasy sensation that they are not alone. Many have experienced a feeling of being watched, as if unseen eyes follow every movement, creating a heightened sense of awareness and fear. The eerie stillness of the cemetery is often broken by faint whispers, soft moans, or distant footsteps, which vanish when investigated. These auditory experiences contribute to the cemetery's haunted reputation, suggesting that the spirits of the past are actively communicating or lingering within their sacred grounds. One of the most commonly reported occurrences at Old Settlers Cemetery is the sighting of shadowy figures. Witnesses have described fleeting glimpses of human shapes moving among the gravestones, sometimes appearing as transparent outlines, and at other times as darker forms that seem solid yet intangible. These figures are often seen near the older sections of the cemetery, where some of the earliest settlers were laid to rest. Several accounts describe shadowy figures of men and women in period clothing, appearing to wander the grounds silently, or pause briefly before disappearing altogether. One visitor reported seeing a small child in a 19th century dress standing beside a family grave, only to vanish when approached, leaving behind a sense of sorrow and longing. Lights that appear without explanation are another hallmark of paranormal activity at Old Settlers Cemetery. Ghostly orbs and flickering lights are reported by many who visit after dusk, often drifting above graves, moving between tombstones, or hovering near mausoleums. These lights are described as ethereal, soft, and otherworldly, and they often provoke awe as well as fear. Some believe that these lights represent spiritual energy or manifestations of the souls who remain tied to the cemetery, unable to fully cross over into the afterlife. The combination of the spectral lights with shadowy figures and sounds creates an immersive experience for visitors who are drawn to the supernatural. Physical sensations have also been reported in the cemetery, including feelings of pressure, sudden touches, or an icy hand brushing against the skin. Some visitors recount being nudged or having their hair lifted without explanation, leaving them startled and anxious. One particularly unsettling story involves a visitor who felt a strong push on their shoulder while standing alone near a row of Civil War veterans' graves, and when they turned around, there was no one there. Such experiences reinforce the idea that Old Settlers Cemetery is an active site of paranormal energy, and that those who venture there may come face to face with phenomena beyond human understanding. The cemetery is steeped in legend, and local lore has long described it as a place where the past lingers powerfully. Tales include ghostly apparitions of settlers walking the grounds, restless spirits of those who died tragically, and the echoes of past ceremonies or mourning rituals. Some graves are considered particularly active, with multiple sightings, sounds, and lights reported in their vicinity. Others are more subtle, leaving only a lingering sense of unease or melancholy. The cemetery's reputation as a haunted site draws both history enthusiasts and paranormal investigators, eager to witness the unexplained events firsthand. Old Settlers Cemetery is also visually striking, which adds to the haunting ambiance. Crumbling headstones, some barely legible due to centuries of weathering, are scattered across the grounds, with intricate carvings and epitaphs telling stories of lives long past. Ancient trees with gnarled limbs tower over the graves, casting long shadows that stretch across pathways and create shifting shapes in the moonlight. The interplay of light and shadow enhances the feeling that the cemetery is alive with unseen activity, and for those sensitive to spiritual energy, it can be a deeply moving as well as terrifying experience. Many ghost hunters report that the cemetery's older sections are hotspots for activity. Civil War soldiers' graves, early settler family plots, and unmarked burial sites are particularly prone to paranormal experiences. Visitors have described seeing figures dressed in period clothing, hearing the sounds of marching soldiers, or feeling the presence of someone standing nearby. Others have felt sudden chills or emotional weight when standing near graves, as if the emotions and tragedies of the past have been embedded in the soil and stones. Every corner of Old Settlers Cemetery carries the weight of history and the possibility of encountering something beyond the natural world. For those brave enough to explore the cemetery, it is advised to approach with respect. While the site is open to visitors, it is also a sacred resting place, and treating it with reverence may impact the intensity of paranormal encounters. Many who venture at night report more intense phenomena, including apparitions, lights, sounds, and physical sensations. Daytime visits allow for reflection and appreciation of the historical significance, but nighttime explorations often reveal the haunting nature of the cemetery in full force, with the past seeming to reach out to the present in startling ways. Old Settlers Cemetery is a living reminder of Charlotte's history, holding the stories and spirits of those who built the city and contributed to its early days. From shadow figures and unexplained lights to ghostly sounds and physical sensations, the cemetery offers a unique and chilling experience for anyone seeking encounters with the supernatural. Each gravestone, tree, and pathway carries whispers of the past, creating an atmosphere that is as captivating as it is terrifying. Visiting Old Settlers Cemetery is an immersive experience. The combination of visual, auditory, and physical phenomena makes it one of North Carolina's most compelling haunted sites. Every encounter, whether a fleeting shadow, a ghostly light, or an inexplicable sound, leaves a lasting impression and reinforces the cemetery's reputation as a place where the veil between the living and the dead is thin. It is a destination for history enthusiasts, paranormal investigators, and those seeking an unforgettable encounter with the unexplained. Old Settlers Cemetery stands as a testament to the power of history, memory, and lingering spirits. For anyone interested in North Carolina's haunted locations, it is a must-visit site, offering a deeply moving, chilling, and sometimes terrifying glimpse into the past. Every step within its grounds is a step into the stories, lives, and unresolved mysteries of those who came before, making it one of the most fascinating and haunted cemeteries in the state. Number 8. Salem Cemetery, Winston-Salem. Salem Cemetery in Winston-Salem is one of the oldest and most haunted burial grounds in North Carolina, carrying a legacy that stretches back to the 18th century when the area was first settled by German Moravians. Its grounds are expansive, featuring rows of aged gravestones, crypts, and monuments that have weathered centuries of storms and the passage of time. The cemetery's layout, with narrow winding paths flanked by towering trees, creates a sense of isolation and mystery. Walking through its grounds, visitors often feel as though they are stepping into a space where the past and present coexist, where the memories of those long gone linger in the air, like a palpable presence. One of the most striking features of Salem Cemetery is the sheer number of historical graves. Here rest some of Winston-Salem's earliest settlers, prominent Moravian figures, and veterans of historic conflicts, including the Revolutionary and Civil Wars. Each headstone tells a story, often with detailed carvings and inscriptions that have faded, but still hint at lives filled with triumph, struggle, and sometimes tragedy. Visitors have long reported feeling an unusual energy while walking among these graves, describing sensations of being watched, sudden chills, or an overwhelming sense of sadness, as if the sorrow of the past has seeped into the very soil of the cemetery. Paranormal activity is abundant at Salem Cemetery. Numerous accounts describe shadowy figures moving silently among the tombstones, some resembling people dressed in 18th or 19th century attire, while others appear as dark shapes that fade when approached. These apparitions are often reported near the oldest sections of the cemetery, where the earliest settlers were laid to rest, but sightings can occur throughout the grounds. Many witnesses describe feeling a heavy presence nearby, a sensation of being observed by invisible eyes that follow their movements, creating an atmosphere of tension and fear. Auditory phenomena are also frequently reported. Visitors have heard whispers, footsteps, and voices with no visible source, often echoing in the quiet stillness of the cemetery. Some have reported hearing children laughing or crying, though the cemetery is devoid of any living inhabitants. Others have described the faint sound of prayers or hymns drifting through the air, adding a spiritual yet eerie dimension to the experience. These sounds seem to come and go unpredictably, sometimes intensifying at night or during moments of stillness, amplifying the sense of unease for those present. Salem Cemetery is also known for ghostly lights and orbs. Many paranormal enthusiasts have captured photos and videos of small glowing spheres moving through the graveyard, hovering above graves or floating along the pathways. These lights are said to appear spontaneously, often in places where historical figures are buried, and are sometimes accompanied by sudden drops in temperature, unexplained gusts of wind, or the sensation of being touched. These manifestations contribute to the cemetery's reputation as one of the most active paranormal sites in North Carolina. Physical sensations are commonly reported by those exploring Salem Cemetery, particularly at night. Visitors have felt sudden pressure on their shoulders, icy touches, or the brushing of invisible hands across their skin. Some recount being nudged or jostled without explanation, creating moments of intense fear. One account describes a person standing near a family crypt, feeling a strong tug at their clothing, only to find that no one else was present. Experiences like these reinforce the belief that the spirits of Salem Cemetery are restless and that those who enter may encounter more than just shadows and whispers. The atmosphere of Salem Cemetery is heightened by its natural features. Ancient oak and maple trees cast long, twisting shadows over the graves, and fog often settles low to the ground, creating a sense of disorientation. The interplay of light and darkness transforms the cemetery into a haunting landscape where shadows seem to move independently, and every turn holds the potential for an unexpected encounter. Even during the day, the cemetery exudes a quiet, somber energy, but nighttime brings out its true haunted character, revealing the layers of history and spectral presence that permeate the grounds. Legends and local lore further contribute to the cemetery's eerie reputation. Stories of apparitions, restless spirits, and inexplicable events have been passed down through generations, often told around campfires or in hushed tones by locals. Certain graves are believed to be hotspots for paranormal activity, drawing the attention of ghost hunters and curious visitors alike. Tales include encounters with a woman in period clothing, gliding silently among the tombstones, the sound of phantom horses and carriages approaching from unseen directions, and fleeting glimpses of soldiers or townspeople who died centuries ago. Each story adds to the sense that Salem Cemetery is a place where the boundary between the living and the dead is thin. The cemetery's historical significance cannot be separated from its haunting presence. As one of the oldest burial grounds in the region, it offers a glimpse into the lives and deaths of early settlers, their struggles, and their faith. The Moravian influence is particularly notable, with many graves featuring inscriptions in German and symbols reflecting their religious beliefs. These cultural and historical elements enrich the cemetery's haunted narrative, providing context for the reported paranormal activity. Visitors are not only confronted with ghostly phenomena, but are also reminded of the lives and legacies that shaped Winston-Salem. Salem Cemetery is a magnet for paranormal investigators and enthusiasts. Its combination of historical depth, frequent reports of apparitions, unexplained sounds, and physical sensations make it a prime location for exploring the unknown. Investigations often reveal anomalies on cameras, unusual electromagnetic readings, and other signs that suggest active paranormal energy. Despite the fear it can evoke, many who visit leave with a profound sense of connection to the past, a mixture of awe and terror at the enduring presence of those who have long since passed on. For anyone interested in haunted locations, Salem Cemetery is a must-visit site. Its blend of history, legend, and active paranormal phenomena provides a uniquely immersive experience, where the past seems to whisper through the trees and shadows of the graves. Visitors should approach with respect and caution, as the spirits are said to respond to the energy and intentions of those who enter. Nighttime visits are particularly intense, revealing the full extent of the cemetery's haunting presence. In conclusion, Salem Cemetery in Winston-Salem is not merely a burial ground, but a living connection to history, memory, and the supernatural. With its shadowy figures, ghostly lights, mysterious sounds, and chilling physical sensations, it stands as one of North Carolina's most haunted sites. Every step among its graves is a step into the stories, lives, and unresolved mysteries of the past, making it a place of both fascination and fear. It is a destination for history enthusiasts, paranormal seekers, and anyone daring enough to confront the spirits that linger within its grounds. Number 9. St. James Episcopal Church Cemetery, Wilmington. St. James Episcopal Church Cemetery in Wilmington is one of North Carolina's most chilling burial grounds, steeped in centuries of history and paranormal activity. Established in the early 1700s, this cemetery is closely tied to the early colonial history of Wilmington, serving as the final resting place for prominent citizens, clergy, and countless families whose legacies shaped the city. Its historic gravestones, many of which are weathered and cracked by time, line winding pathways and shaded groves, creating a setting that feels suspended between the living and the dead. Walking among these graves, one is immediately struck by the sense that the cemetery holds secrets and memories that refuse to fade. The cemetery is renowned not only for its historical significance, but also for its persistent reports of hauntings. Visitors frequently recount sightings of shadowy figures gliding silently between the tombstones, often vanishing when approached. Some of these apparitions are described as cloaked in period attire, reflecting the colonial and Victorian eras, while others are vague, dark shapes that evoke a primal fear of the unknown. Many witnesses claim to have felt an oppressive presence or the sensation of being watched, an unnerving feeling that intensifies as night falls and the cemetery is cloaked in darkness. Auditory phenomena are among the most unsettling aspects of St. James Cemetery. Numerous reports describe whispers that seem to emanate from nowhere, faint footsteps crunching on gravel paths, and the soft murmur of voices that abruptly stop when investigated. At times, visitors have reported hearing the toll of phantom church bells, though no bells are ringing in reality, adding a spectral ambiance that heightens the sense of unease. Children's laughter has also been reported, even though the cemetery contains no playgrounds or living children, suggesting that the echoes of past lives linger still in the quiet night air. Strange lights and orbs are another commonly reported phenomenon at St. James Cemetery. Paranormal investigators and visitors alike have captured photos and videos of glowing spheres drifting among the graves, sometimes darting quickly as if avoiding human contact. These lights often appear near the oldest graves or crypts, adding an eerie visual layer to the cemetery's haunted reputation. Witnesses often describe a sudden chill accompanying the appearance of these lights, along with feelings of weight or pressure, as if invisible hands were brushing past or pressing lightly on their shoulders. The cemetery's natural landscape amplifies its haunting presence. Tall oak and cypress trees stretch across the grounds, their branches casting elongated shadows that shift with the moonlight. Fog often settles low among the graves, creating a dense, ethereal layer that obscures paths and makes every movement seem uncertain. The interplay of light, shadow, and mist gives the cemetery an otherworldly quality, and even during daylight hours, visitors feel a somber, almost sacred energy that hints at the lives and stories buried beneath the soil. Local legends and lore surrounding St. James Episcopal Church Cemetery contribute to its ominous reputation. Stories of spirits who linger due to unresolved business or tragic deaths are widespread, with certain graves thought to be particularly active. Among these tales are accounts of a lady in white, gliding silently between rows of tombstones, sudden gusts of wind that scatter leaves and papers inexplicably, and fleeting glimpses of men and women dressed in colonial garb who vanish before a clear view can be obtained. These stories have been shared for generations, fostering an aura of dread that continues to attract paranormal enthusiasts and thrill seekers. Physical sensations reported at St. James Cemetery are often intense. Visitors have felt cold touches on their arms, the brushing of invisible hands, or the sensation of a presence standing close even when no one else is visible. Some have reported sudden headaches, dizziness, or an overwhelming sense of sorrow, as if the collective grief of the cemetery's occupants has seeped into the living world. These encounters reinforce the notion that the cemetery is not simply a resting place, but an active site of paranormal energy, where the veil between the living and the dead is thin. Paranormal investigations at St. James Episcopal Church Cemetery have documented a variety of anomalies. Investigators using cameras, thermal imaging, and audio recording equipment have reported capturing shadow figures, unexplained sounds, and visual disturbances in photographs and video. Many believe that the cemetery serves as a focal point for spiritual activity, possibly due to its age, historical significance, and the number of lives represented within its grounds. Each investigation seems to uncover new layers of mystery, and even seasoned ghost hunters often leave with stories that defy conventional explanation. Despite its reputation, St. James Cemetery is accessible to the public, allowing visitors to experience its history and haunting firsthand. Daytime visits provide an opportunity to reflect on the rich history and cultural significance of the site, while nighttime visits are far more intense, revealing the spectral dimensions of the cemetery. Visitors are advised to exercise caution and respect, as many of the reported hauntings are said to react to the energy and behavior of those present. Whether seeking historical insight, paranormal investigation, or a genuine thrill, St. James Episcopal Church Cemetery offers a deeply immersive experience that engages the mind, senses, and imagination. In summary, St. James Episcopal Church Cemetery in Wilmington is a chilling blend of history, legend, and paranormal activity. From shadowy figures and ghostly lights to unexplained sounds and physical sensations, the cemetery embodies the eerie and unsettling qualities that make haunted sites captivating to both historians and thrill seekers. Every step among its graves is a step into the past, into stories that continue to resonate through the centuries. For those daring enough to visit, St. James Cemetery offers a haunting and unforgettable experience that lingers long after leaving its grounds. Number 10. Old Smithville Burying Ground, Southport. Old Smithville Burying Ground in Southport is a hauntingly atmospheric cemetery that has been the final resting place for generations of locals. Established in the early 1800s, this burial ground contains weathered headstones, intricate stone carvings, and family plots that tell the story of the town's long and sometimes tragic history. The cemetery is small and intimate, yet it is steeped in a sense of foreboding, as visitors often report an overwhelming feeling of being watched. Every step along its winding paths seems to echo with the weight of the past, and the air often feels heavy, as though carrying the memories of the countless souls interred there. Reports of paranormal activity at Old Smithville Burying Ground are numerous and persistent. Witnesses frequently describe shadowy figures that move between the gravestones and vanish without warning. These apparitions are often seen at dusk or after nightfall, their presence accompanied by sudden chills and goosebumps that seem to penetrate the very bones of those nearby. Many visitors claim to hear whispering voices that cannot be traced to any living source, the murmurs ebbing and flowing, as if the dead themselves are speaking across the centuries. Some have even reported seeing figures in period clothing, gliding silently among the tombstones before disappearing into thin air. Auditory phenomena are especially unsettling here. Footsteps crunch on gravel paths where no one walks, gates creak though they are secured, and faint sobbing has been heard drifting across the graves. A few visitors have recounted hearing church bells ring, even though no bells are present on the grounds. These sounds often appear without warning and vanish as mysteriously as they begin, leaving a lingering sense of unease. Shadows sometimes seem to take on forms of people long gone, their outlines wavering in the dim light of the evening, creating a spectral tableau that feels alive and unnerving. Visual anomalies are another hallmark of Old Smithville Burying Ground. Paranormal investigators have captured photographs showing unexplained orbs of light, glowing mist, and strange visual distortions around certain graves. Witnesses often report sudden flickers of movement from the corner of their eyes, which disappear when they turn to look directly. Some of the most active areas of the cemetery are near the oldest graves, suggesting that age, history, and perhaps the intensity of past emotions play a role in these hauntings. People visiting late at night often feel a chilling presence close behind them, the sensation of unseen eyes following every movement. The cemetery's landscape contributes significantly to its eerie atmosphere. Tall oak and cypress trees cast deep shadows over the graves, their branches swaying even on windless nights, producing creaks and groans that echo through the quiet grounds. Fog frequently rolls in from nearby waterways, settling low among the tombstones and creating an almost supernatural layer of mist that obscures paths and makes navigation difficult. The combination of ancient stones, dense foliage, and creeping fog generates an unsettling sense of isolation, where the living are acutely aware of the presence of the dead. Local legends amplify the cemetery's reputation. Stories circulate of a mourning woman seen wandering through the graveyard, her figure appearing and vanishing without explanation. Some tales recount unexplained lights moving between tombstones at night, believed to be spirits guiding visitors or trapped between the worlds of the living and the dead. Other stories speak of sudden drops in temperature, brushes against unseen hands, and intense feelings of sorrow or dread that seem to emanate from specific graves. Each story contributes to a collective sense that Old Smithville Burying Ground is far from an ordinary cemetery, but a place where history and the supernatural converge. Visitors often report physical sensations that are difficult to explain. Sudden chills, a sense of weight on their shoulders, or a feeling of being closely watched are commonly experienced. Some describe headaches or dizziness that comes on unexpectedly while walking among the graves. Others claim to have felt a presence following them, yet when they look back, nothing is there. These encounters reinforce the perception that the cemetery is not simply a place of rest, but a location where lingering spirits interact with the living world in subtle yet profound ways. Paranormal investigations at Old Smithville Burying Ground have captured numerous phenomena, including cold spots, moving shadows, and faint voices on audio recordings. Investigators have observed unexplained lights hovering near certain graves and have even felt sudden physical contact when no one else is present. The cemetery's combination of age, historical significance, and mysterious occurrences makes it a focal point for ghost hunters and thrill seekers seeking evidence of life beyond death. Every visit seems to uncover new layers of mystery, leaving both casual visitors and experienced paranormal researchers with stories that defy logical explanation. Despite its haunted reputation, Old Smithville Burying Ground is open to the public. Daytime visits allow guests to appreciate the historical significance of the cemetery and the artistry of its tombstones. Nighttime visits, however, offer an entirely different experience, exposing visitors to the supernatural aura that pervades the grounds. Paranormal enthusiasts and thrill seekers alike are drawn here, hoping to experience firsthand the lingering presence of spirits that have been reported for generations. Respectful exploration is encouraged, as the cemetery's supernatural activity is believed to react to the behavior and energy of those present. In conclusion, Old Smithville Burying Ground in Southport is a chilling blend of history, legend, and paranormal phenomena. From shadowy apparitions and unexplained sounds to eerie lights and physical sensations, the cemetery embodies the qualities that make haunted sites both terrifying and fascinating. Every grave tells a story, and each story carries echoes of the past that continue to resonate in the present. For those brave enough to explore its grounds, Old Smithville Burying Ground offers an unforgettable experience that lingers long after leaving, a haunting testament to the thin veil between the living and the dead. Number 11. Maplewood Cemetery, Durham. Maplewood Cemetery in Durham is one of the oldest and most chilling burial grounds in the state, established in the early 1800s. As soon as you step through the wrought iron gates, a sense of quiet unease settles in, as though the spirits of the past are observing every movement. The cemetery spans acres of land, dotted with moss-covered tombstones, crumbling family mausoleums, and ancient oak trees, whose branches seem to twist and reach like spectral hands. Visitors frequently comment on the thick, almost tangible atmosphere, a heavy air that carries the weight of centuries of sorrow, tragedy, and untold stories. The haunting at Maplewood Cemetery is persistent and multifaceted. Witnesses describe shadowy figures flitting between the graves, appearing and vanishing without explanation. Many have reported glimpsing people in old-fashioned attire, walking silently among the headstones, their faces obscured or blurred as though trying to remain unseen. Children's laughter, echoing faintly across the grounds, is often heard despite no living children being present. Some visitors recount whispers carried on the wind, voices speaking in tones that are urgent yet unintelligible, as if the spirits themselves are attempting to communicate messages from the beyond. Auditory phenomena at Maplewood Cemetery are particularly eerie. Footsteps crunch over paths where no one walks. Gates creak though they are locked, and faint sobbing drifts through the air late at night. A few have even reported hearing church bells ring, though the cemetery contains no bell tower. These sounds manifest suddenly and vanish just as mysteriously, leaving an unnerving stillness in their wake. Other visitors claim to feel soft touches on their shoulders, cold breezes that encircle them, or even the sensation of someone walking just behind them, only to find the space empty when they turn to look. Visual anomalies add another layer of fear. Paranormal investigators have captured images showing unexplained orbs, misty shapes, and dark shadows that seem to move independently of natural light sources. The oldest sections of the cemetery are often the most active, particularly near unmarked graves and historic family plots. Witnesses frequently report sudden flickers at the edge of their vision, a figure disappearing just as quickly as it appears. Some have described seeing the spectral image of mourners frozen in mid-motion, as if caught in a moment of grief that continues to replay across time. The physical environment amplifies the haunting. Twisted oaks and cypress trees cast long shadows, their branches groaning even on calm nights. Fog from nearby rivers drifts low across the graves, obscuring paths and creating a sense of disorientation. The combination of aged gravestones, dense foliage, and creeping mist gives the cemetery a ghostly, otherworldly quality that seems to thicken as the sun sets. Visitors often report that the farther they walk into the cemetery, the stronger the sensation of being watched becomes, as though unseen eyes track each step across the ancient grounds. Local legends enhance Maplewood Cemetery's chilling reputation. Stories abound of a ghostly woman who roams the grounds mourning her lost family. Others recount sightings of shadowy figures appearing near specific tombs, or inexplicable lights flickering in the darkness. Paranormal investigators often focus on areas where the activity is reported to be most concentrated, and some claim that the energy in these zones can be felt physically, manifesting as sudden chills, headaches, or even nausea. The cemetery's rich history and the accumulation of spirits over centuries contribute to a palpable sense that the living and dead are closely intertwined here. Physical sensations experienced by visitors are frequent and unsettling. Sudden temperature drops, feelings of pressure on the chest or shoulders, and the sensation of being closely followed are commonly reported. Some visitors have experienced tingling on their skin, hair standing on end, or an overwhelming sense of sorrow that cannot be explained. These encounters reinforce the idea that Maplewood Cemetery is more than a place of burial. It is a nexus where the veil between the living and the dead is thin, and where the energy of those who have passed remains deeply imprinted on the land. Paranormal investigations at Maplewood Cemetery have documented a wide range of phenomena, including cold spots, moving shadows, strange lights, and voices captured on audio recordings. Investigators have also observed objects moving independently and occasional glimpses of figures that vanish when approached. The combination of historic significance, age, and mysterious activity makes the cemetery a focal point for ghost hunters and thrill seekers seeking evidence of life after death. Every visit seems to uncover new mysteries, leaving even seasoned researchers with accounts that defy conventional explanation. Despite its eerie reputation, Maplewood Cemetery is open to the public. Daytime visitors can appreciate its historical significance, the craftsmanship of old gravestones, and the solemn beauty of its grounds. Nighttime visits, however, reveal an entirely different experience, exposing guests to the supernatural presence that pervades the area. Paranormal enthusiasts and thrill seekers are drawn here for the chance to witness firsthand the lingering spirits that have been reported for generations. Respectful exploration is crucial, as many believe that the cemetery's paranormal activity responds to the behavior and energy of those present. In conclusion, Maplewood Cemetery in Durham is a chilling blend of history, legend, and unexplained phenomena. Shadowy apparitions, disembodied voices, eerie lights, and the sensation of unseen presences create a haunting environment that captivates the imagination and unsettles the senses. Every tombstone carries a story, and each story seems to resonate across time, linking the living with the spirits of the past. For those brave enough to explore its grounds, Maplewood Cemetery offers an experience that is as terrifying as it is unforgettable, leaving a lingering impression long after one has left the hallowed and haunted grounds. Number 12. Pine Forest Cemetery, Wilmington. Pine Forest Cemetery in Wilmington is an aged burial ground steeped in history, mystery, and chilling tales of the supernatural. Established in the 1800s, the cemetery spreads across acres of land, lined with weathered tombstones, mausoleums, and crypts that have endured decades of storms, decay, and time itself. From the moment you pass through its wrought iron gates, there is an unsettling feeling, as if the very air has absorbed centuries of sorrow, fear, and lingering spirits. A thick canopy of trees casts long shadows across the pathways, creating pockets of darkness that seem to move with a life of their own. Visitors frequently report eerie experiences that range from faint whispers in the wind to sudden cold spots that appear without warning. Shadows dart across the graveyard in ways that defy explanation, and some have claimed to see figures in period clothing walking silently among the tombstones. The most commonly cited apparition is that of a cloaked figure whose presence is accompanied by an overwhelming sense of melancholy. Paranormal enthusiasts often describe the energy here as heavy and suffocating, giving the impression that the cemetery itself is alive with the memories of those buried within its grounds. Auditory phenomena at Pine Forest Cemetery are a core aspect of its haunting. Faint footsteps are often heard along deserted paths. Doors and gates creak, though they are firmly shut, and muffled voices echo between the graves. Some visitors have reported the distant sound of weeping, while others describe hearing chants or low murmurs carried on the wind. These sounds often appear suddenly and vanish just as quickly, leaving an unnerving silence in their wake. In some of the older sections, particularly near unmarked graves, the intensity of these occurrences seems to heighten, suggesting a deep connection between the spirits and their resting places. Visual phenomena add to the cemetery's chilling reputation. People have reported seeing orbs of light floating over the graves, shadowy figures standing motionless in the distance, and fleeting glimpses of faces in the mist that vanish when approached. The cemetery is especially active after dusk, when fog from the nearby rivers and low-lying fields rolls across the grounds, enveloping visitors in a spectral haze. Trees with twisted branches cast grotesque silhouettes, and the shadows they form seem to shift independently, enhancing the sense that the cemetery is watched by unseen eyes. Local legends tell of a grieving mother whose spirit roams the cemetery, searching for her lost child. There are also stories of soldiers who died in nearby skirmishes, whose ghosts are said to patrol the grounds, and mysterious lights that appear above certain family plots. Paranormal investigators have noted that some areas of the cemetery seem to amplify ghostly activity, manifesting as sudden drops in temperature, feelings of unease, and the sensation of being closely followed. These reports suggest that Pine Forest Cemetery is more than just a resting place. It is a site where the spiritual energy of the past has remained unusually strong. Physical sensations reported by visitors are frequent and intense. Many have described sudden chills, the sensation of being touched by invisible hands, and the feeling of heavy pressure on the chest as they walk among the graves. Some claim that their hair stands on end, or that they are suddenly overcome with an inexplicable sense of dread. The environment itself seems to heighten these sensations, with dense trees, narrow pathways, and the sound of wind through the leaves, creating a backdrop that feels both alive and threatening. Paranormal investigations at Pine Forest Cemetery have documented various forms of activity, including disembodied voices, moving shadows, cold spots, and apparitions captured on camera. Audio recordings have picked up faint whispers and footsteps that do not correspond with any physical presence. Some researchers report the sudden appearance of glowing orbs or misty figures that linger briefly before vanishing. These experiences have cemented Pine Forest Cemetery's reputation as one of Wilmington's most active and unnerving haunted locations. Despite its unsettling nature, Pine Forest Cemetery is open to the public. While daytime visitors can appreciate its historical value and the artistry of its old gravestones, nighttime visits reveal the haunting presence that pervades the grounds. Paranormal enthusiasts are drawn to the cemetery for the opportunity to witness these supernatural events firsthand. Many suggest walking slowly along the paths, observing the tombstones and mausoleums, and remaining quiet, as even a small disturbance can provoke ghostly reactions. In conclusion, Pine Forest Cemetery is a chilling sight where history, legend, and the supernatural intersect. The combination of shadowy apparitions, eerie sounds, and physical sensations creates a haunting experience that lingers long after visitors leave. Every corner of the cemetery seems to hold a story, every gravestone a secret, and every whisper of the wind a message from the past. For those brave enough to explore its grounds, Pine Forest Cemetery offers an experience both terrifying and unforgettable, cementing its status as one of North Carolina's most haunted and mysterious burial sites. Number 13. Historic Oakdale Cemetery, Wilmington. Historic Oakdale Cemetery in Wilmington is a sprawling burial ground that exudes a sense of history, mystery, and lingering spirits. Established in the 1800s, it is one of the city's oldest cemeteries, housing the graves of generations whose stories continue to echo through its winding pathways. The cemetery stretches over acres of land, with weathered tombstones, elaborate mausoleums, and shaded avenues lined with ancient trees. From the moment visitors step through its wrought iron gates, they are greeted by an atmosphere heavy with silence, punctuated only by the rustling of leaves and the occasional distant cry of a bird. This quiet is deceptive, as beneath it lies a presence felt by many who dare to walk its paths after dark. The haunting at Oakdale Cemetery is as varied as it is terrifying. Witnesses often report seeing shadowy figures moving silently among the gravestones, sometimes standing still, as if observing the living. Many have described glimpses of apparitions dressed in period clothing, vanishing suddenly when approached. Cold spots appear without warning, often accompanied by a chill that seems to seep into the very bones. Visitors have spoken of a pervasive feeling of being watched, the sensation that unseen eyes follow every step taken along the aged walkways. The cemetery seems to hold on to the memories of its residents, creating a tension that is palpable to those sensitive to supernatural energy. Auditory phenomena are especially common at Oakdale Cemetery. Faint whispers echo through the tombstones, carrying names and fragmented sentences that cannot always be deciphered. Footsteps are often heard on gravel pathways where no one is visible, and some visitors have reported the sound of chains dragging across the ground or doors creaking open and closed on their own. These eerie sounds create a sense of unease, a constant reminder that the cemetery is more than just a resting place for the dead. Paranormal investigators frequently capture unexplained noises on audio equipment, reinforcing the cemetery's reputation as a site of extraordinary ghostly activity. Visual sightings at Oakdale Cemetery are numerous and unsettling. People report seeing orbs of light hovering over certain graves, misty figures gliding between tombstones, and fleeting faces in the fog that roll across the grounds during the night. In some instances, the apparitions appear to be reenacting moments from their lives or deaths, frozen in time, yet fully present to those who can see them. Shadow figures often lurk at the edges of the property, blending with the trees and monuments, only to vanish when approached. The interplay of light, shadow, and mist in the cemetery seems to amplify the supernatural presence, making every visit unpredictable and chilling. Local legends add to the eerie allure of Oakdale Cemetery. Stories abound of restless spirits who cannot find peace, including a grieving mother searching for her lost child, soldiers from past wars who patrol the grounds, and townsfolk whose lives ended tragically or mysteriously. Some claim that certain tombs are cursed, bringing bad luck or strange occurrences to anyone who dares disturb them. Paranormal enthusiasts have long been drawn to Oakdale Cemetery for the opportunity to witness these phenomena firsthand, and many leave with stories of encounters that defy logical explanation. The physical sensations reported by visitors are often intense. Sudden chills, feelings of being touched by unseen hands, and a pressure on the chest are commonly described experiences. Some report their hair standing on end, or a sense of dread that grows as they move deeper into the older sections of the cemetery. The combination of thick trees, narrow pathways, and long shadows creates a setting that heightens these sensations, immersing visitors in an environment that feels alive and unpredictable. Investigations into Oakdale Cemetery's hauntings have documented a wide range of paranormal activity. Disembodied voices, moving shadows, sudden temperature drops, and apparitions captured on camera are common reports from those who explore the grounds. Many investigators emphasize the importance of respect when visiting, as disturbing the graves or pathways can provoke heightened spiritual activity. The cemetery's long-standing reputation and documented encounters have solidified its status as one of Wilmington's most active and unsettling haunted locations. Despite the fear it inspires, Oakdale Cemetery is open to the public and serves as both a historical site and a destination for paranormal exploration. Daytime visitors often appreciate the cemetery's architectural beauty, ancient trees, and historical significance. Nighttime, however, reveals the haunting energy that permeates the grounds. Walking slowly along the paths, observing the tombstones, and maintaining silence are frequently recommended by ghost hunters, as even a small disturbance can draw attention from the spirits that linger here. Oakdale Cemetery is a place where the past refuses to rest. The shadows, whispers, and apparitions all tell the stories of lives once lived, tragedies endured, and the unyielding presence of spirits who remain tethered to the earth. Every corner of the cemetery seems to hold a tale, every gravestone a secret, and every gust of wind a chilling reminder of the unseen world that exists just beyond the sight of the living. For those brave enough to explore its paths, Oakdale Cemetery offers an experience that is both terrifying and unforgettable, cementing its place as one of North Carolina's most haunted and mysterious burial grounds. Number 14. Old Bluff Church Cemetery, Godwin. Old Bluff Church Cemetery in Godwin is a haunting site steeped in history, mystery, and eerie tales that have circulated for generations. Nestled in a quiet rural part of North Carolina, this cemetery dates back to the 18th century and serves as the final resting place for countless souls, including early settlers, community leaders, and families whose legacies have faded into the mists of time. The cemetery is surrounded by dense woods and old stone walls, giving it an isolated and foreboding atmosphere. From the moment visitors step inside, they are greeted by a sense of quiet unease, as if the air itself carries the weight of centuries of sorrow, fear, and unresolved spirits. The haunting experiences reported at Old Bluff Church Cemetery are numerous and chilling. Witnesses often speak of shadowy figures moving silently among the tombstones, sometimes vanishing abruptly when approached. Cold spots are common, and visitors report sudden drops in temperature that are inexplicable given the surrounding weather conditions. Many describe the feeling of being watched, an invisible presence that seems to track every step, every movement, and every sound. These sensations are so intense that even the most skeptical visitors often find themselves unnerved, feeling as though the cemetery's past residents are still very much present. Auditory phenomena are a particularly frightening aspect of the hauntings here. Faint whispers, indistinct voices, and distant sobbing are reported by those brave enough to explore after dusk. Some have heard footsteps crunching over the gravel paths where no living person treads, and others have reported hearing the sound of wooden gates creaking or chains rattling, even though the cemetery is mostly locked and undisturbed. Paranormal investigators frequently capture these unexplained sounds on audio devices, reinforcing the cemetery's reputation as one of Godwin's most active haunted locations. Visual sightings are equally unsettling. Visitors have reported seeing misty apparitions hovering above certain graves, shadow figures darting between tombstones, and occasionally a fleeting glimpse of a woman in old-fashioned attire, wandering the grounds as if searching for something lost long ago. Orbs of light are also a common occurrence, often appearing in photographs or moving erratically across the property, seemingly guided by unseen hands. Many witnesses describe a sensation of the past blending with the present, as if the spirits are reliving moments from their lives or deaths in an endless loop. Local legends contribute to the cemetery's chilling reputation. Stories abound of restless spirits, including a mother mourning her child, veterans from historic conflicts, and townspeople who met violent or tragic ends. There are whispers of cursed graves, where disturbing the soil or tombstones can trigger paranormal events, from sudden gusts of wind to objects moving on their own. Ghost hunters and thrill seekers are drawn to Old Bluff Church Cemetery for these reasons, hoping to witness firsthand the strange and terrifying phenomena that have made this site infamous. Physical sensations are often intense for those exploring the cemetery at night. Many report sudden chills, goosebumps, and the eerie sensation of unseen hands brushing against their skin. Visitors sometimes feel a weight on their chest or a pressure around their shoulders, as though invisible spirits are pressing down, reminding them of their presence. The interplay of shadows, moonlight filtering through the trees, and the labyrinth of gravestones creates an environment ripe for paranormal activity and heightens the sense of dread that lingers throughout the grounds. Investigations at Old Bluff Church Cemetery have documented a wide range of paranormal occurrences. Disembodied voices, apparitions captured on camera, sudden drops in temperature, and unexplained movements of objects are frequently reported. Paranormal researchers often note the importance of approaching the cemetery with respect, as attempts to disturb graves or perform rituals recklessly can provoke heightened spiritual responses. The cemetery's age, combined with the tragic and untimely deaths of many of its interred, contributes to its reputation as a hotspot for ghostly activity in North Carolina. Despite its terrifying reputation, Old Bluff Church Cemetery remains accessible to the public, attracting history enthusiasts, ghost hunters, and thrill seekers alike. During the day, the cemetery is often appreciated for its historical significance, ancient tombstones, and the quiet beauty of the surrounding landscape. However, as dusk falls, the cemetery transforms. Shadows lengthen, the air chills, and the spirits that linger here become more perceptible. Visitors are advised to walk slowly, remain silent, and respect the site, as any disturbance can trigger paranormal manifestations or attract the attention of entities that have called this place home for centuries. Old Bluff Church Cemetery is more than a resting place for the dead. It is a portal to the past, where history, legend, and the supernatural intersect. Every tombstone tells a story, every shadow hides a secret, and every whisper carries the echo of lives long gone. For those who dare to explore its grounds, Old Bluff Church Cemetery offers an experience that is at once terrifying, fascinating, and unforgettable. Its combination of history, natural beauty, and paranormal activity makes it a uniquely haunting location, cementing its place among North Carolina's most eerie and mysterious cemeteries. Number 15. Green Hill Cemetery, Greensboro. Green Hill Cemetery in Greensboro stands as one of the most chilling and historically rich haunted locations in North Carolina, a place where the boundary between the living and the dead seems perilously thin. Established in the early 19th century, this cemetery has served as the final resting place for generations of residents, from prominent town figures to ordinary citizens whose names have faded into obscurity. The cemetery's vast grounds are dotted with weathered tombstones, crypts, and monuments that bear silent witness to centuries of sorrow, grief, and untold stories. The age of the cemetery, coupled with the tragedies and mysteries surrounding many of its inhabitants, has created a uniquely eerie atmosphere that draws ghost hunters, thrill seekers, and paranormal enthusiasts from across the state. The haunting at Green Hill Cemetery is multifaceted, encompassing visual apparitions, auditory phenomena, and intense physical sensations that make visitors question reality. Many who enter the cemetery report seeing shadowy figures moving among the graves, sometimes appearing to watch or follow them before vanishing without a trace. Witnesses describe ghostly forms of men, women, and even children, often dressed in period clothing, wandering silently through the grounds. Some report fleeting glimpses of faces in the fog or mist, their expressions frozen in pain or sorrow. Orbs of light, flickering in the corners of photographs or drifting across the landscape at night, are a common phenomenon, adding to the unsettling aura of the cemetery. Auditory experiences at Green Hill Cemetery are particularly disturbing. Visitors often hear disembodied voices, whispering unintelligible words, crying, or calling names. Footsteps are frequently reported on gravel paths where no living person walks, and distant moans or sighs echo through the trees, creating an almost palpable sense of dread. Some have even claimed to hear the clinking of chains, the creak of swinging gates, or the sound of doors opening and closing in the stillness of the night. Paranormal investigators have documented these sounds using recording devices, confirming the presence of unexplained phenomena that continue to mystify and frighten. Physical sensations at Green Hill Cemetery further enhance its terrifying reputation. Many visitors experience sudden cold spots, goosebumps, and feelings of being watched or touched by invisible hands. Some report pressure on their chest or shoulders, as if an unseen entity is present, observing, and reacting to their presence. These sensations often intensify after dusk, when the cemetery is enveloped in shadows and the silhouettes of ancient trees stretch across the grounds. The combination of darkness, weathered stone, and whispering winds creates an atmosphere that is both oppressive and hypnotic, making it difficult for even the most skeptical visitor to remain unaffected. Green Hill Cemetery is also steeped in local legends and ghost stories that have been passed down through generations. Some tales speak of tragic deaths and restless spirits who cannot move on, while others describe spectral figures appearing near certain graves or crypts, particularly those associated with violent or untimely deaths. There are stories of visitors feeling a sudden, inexplicable pull toward specific areas, as though the spirits themselves are drawing them into the past. Some graves are said to be cursed, with anyone disturbing the soil or tombstones experiencing misfortune or encounters with malevolent entities. These stories, while often chilling, serve to deepen the mystique of the cemetery and reinforce its status as one of North Carolina's most haunted sites. During the day, Green Hill Cemetery presents as a peaceful and historic site, with its old headstones and monuments offering a glimpse into the city's past. However, as night falls, the cemetery transforms into a place of heightened paranormal activity. Shadows deepen, the temperature drops inexplicably, and the spirits of past residents become more perceptible to those who are sensitive to supernatural presence. Visitors are advised to approach with respect and caution, as disturbing the grounds or provoking the spirits can lead to frightening and unpredictable encounters. The cemetery's combination of history, natural beauty, and paranormal activity creates a uniquely haunting experience that leaves a lasting impression on all who enter. Green Hill Cemetery is more than just a burial ground. It is a portal into the past, a place where the echoes of lives once lived linger in the air, whispering secrets, regrets, and untold stories. Each tombstone tells a tale, each shadow hides a presence, and every breeze through the trees carries the whispers of the unseen. For those who dare to explore its haunted grounds, Green Hill Cemetery offers an experience that is both terrifying and captivating, cementing its reputation as one of the most haunted cemeteries in North Carolina. Its reputation has drawn countless paranormal investigators, thrill seekers, and historians eager to uncover the truth behind the legends. From ghostly apparitions and strange lights to disembodied voices and eerie cold spots, Green Hill Cemetery is a place where history and the supernatural collide, offering a spine-chilling glimpse into the unknown. The haunting is not simply a collection of stories. It is an ongoing presence, a living history of the people who once walked the streets of Greensboro and now linger silently among the graves. Visitors to Green Hill Cemetery often leave with a mixture of awe and fear. The sense of history is palpable, but it is intertwined with an ever-present awareness of the paranormal. Many return multiple times, drawn by curiosity and a desire to witness firsthand the supernatural occurrences that have made this site infamous. For those seeking an unforgettable experience, Green Hill Cemetery delivers a chilling blend of history, mystery, and paranormal intrigue. As we draw the curtains on this journey through North Carolina's most haunted cemeteries, it's impossible not to feel the weight of history pressing down. The lingering presence of souls whose stories never truly ended. Each cemetery we explored tonight is more than a resting place for the dead. They are gateways to the past, shadowed corridors where the echoes of tragedy, love, and untimely loss still linger. The whispers in the wind, the sudden chills in the air, the flicker of unseen lights among weathered tombstones. These are not merely stories passed down through generations, but experiences that have haunted the living, compelling the curious and brave to seek them out, hoping to glimpse the unseen. If tonight's journey left you with goosebumps or a chill running down your spine, remember that each of these cemeteries is alive with memory. They are reminders that the past never truly leaves us, and that sometimes those who walked before us may still have a voice to share. For historians, thrill seekers, and paranormal enthusiasts, these cemeteries offer an opportunity not only to explore history, but to confront the unknown, to step beyond the ordinary into a world where the lines between life and death blur, and where courage and curiosity meet the mysterious. As you sit with these images in your mind, imagine wandering the winding paths of Old Salem Cemetery, feeling the eyes of the past upon you in Cedar Grove Cemetery, or hearing the faint whispers along Riverside Cemetery at night. Each stone, each crypt, each unmarked grave tells a story waiting to be discovered, to be honored, or to be feared. Some of these stories will never be fully understood. Some will remain forever shrouded in shadow, but that is part of their terrifying allure. The allure that draws ghost hunters, paranormal investigators, and thrill seekers alike to walk where few dare to tread. If you found tonight's exploration both fascinating and spine-chilling, there are many ways to continue the adventure with us. Make sure to like this video to show your support, and let us know you want more content diving into the haunted, the mysterious, and the truly terrifying. By sharing this video with friends, family, or fellow thrill seekers, you allow others to experience the chills and thrills alongside you, opening the door to conversations about history, legends, and the unexplained. And most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you never miss an opportunity to explore the unknown with us, whether it's haunted cemeteries, abandoned mansions, or cursed roads. Remember, each like, share, and subscription fuels more research, more trips into the paranormal, and more stories that will leave you questioning what lurks just beyond the veil of the ordinary. If you are brave enough, follow along as we continue to uncover the hidden, the haunted, and the unexplainable corners of North Carolina and beyond. Because the dead may rest, but their stories, their whispers, and their shadows will continue to reach out to those who dare to listen. So as you turn off the lights, imagine the cold breeze, the flickering shadows, and the faint whispers you may hear in the silence. And when you are ready for the next journey into the haunted, be sure to come back, because there are countless cemeteries, mansions, and forgotten places around the world that are waiting silently to share their chilling stories with you. Like, share, and subscribe. The dead are waiting, and they have more to tell.